Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Accidental Isolation, where I like to bring on the guests to speak about a time in their life where they may have been isolated, whether that be physically, mentally, or emotionally. This podcast is to give listeners the opportunity to see how common it is to be stuck in accidental isolation, and hopefully from listening through the guests, they'll be able to take away some things to put tools in their toolbox to gather their life. Today we got Rod Jones, man, former high school teammate, USC graduate. Now he's a business owner, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I just want to thank you for giving a piece of your time today. And like I said, hopefully the listeners will be able to gather something from your story, bro.
For sure, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. And let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, my name is Rod Jones, graduate of USC. It's been about, going on 4 years now. So currently own a venue, an event center. That's steady growing and trying to turn it into, whatever I can imagine, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just different things. We just always trying to find ways to just find our niche in a sense. Kind of taking a different approach in terms of growth there. But of course, I got my venue. I, do a little bit of everything. I work at Verizon, so folks need phones, holler at me. I do a little bit of all types of stuff, help my mom as well, with her business and stuff like that. And that kind of piggies back into, what's the biggest thing to me, I guess. In life, I don't necessarily look for a career in a sense. I like to say I'm in the business of just taking care of my family, so to speak. So whatever it is that I can be good at, that I feel comfortable in, and that will provide for those that I love, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm always gonna try to have my hands tied into whatever I can possibly have it tied into. But yeah, that's a nice little intro into myself and just kind of my mentality in general.
Me and you, we spoke before. We talked about the meaning of accidental isolation. Why don't you go ahead and just give us, a little bit of insight of what that looked like for you?
So accidental isolation, that term was brought upon me. I guess the first thing I'm gonna think about is just any particular situation that I've been through in life that has put me into, an isolated state in which I didn't intend to be.
Exactly.
I don't think any of us really intend to be isolated going through our day-to-day life, but it can easily happen depending upon what you got going on. We all go through different things. Loss being one of those biggest things that we all go through. And aside from loss, I mean, not just loss in terms of death, but also just loss in terms of oneself. I think everyone in terms of growing and figuring out who you are, we all lose ourselves at some point based upon what you go on in life. And as you're trying to figure that out, you can kind of find yourself ending up isolated and you don't even want to be isolated or be that way, but it's actually sometimes one of the healthiest ways to be for yourself.
Exactly. I feel like that's a great time in your life. Like you said, it could happen more than once. For most time, it does happen more than once. And I feel like that's a great place to be after it's over, because that's when you can look back and look how you grew from that situation and what you learned from that situation. And that's what's going to, lead you to being that better person.
Right. And I think, and also in being I think coming out of that isolated state, one of the biggest things is as you're learning those different things, you kind of grabbing pieces of it and trying to figure out what to use and apply into your day-to-day life to kind of help you be more so, I guess, preventative, and kind of cautious, you know what I'm saying? So I think no matter what it is that we're doing day-to-day, the goal is always to try to be sure that you don't make the same mistakes or things don't happen over and over again in your life. So I think being preventative and trying to remain cautious and trying to always have, that step ahead, or trying to always be looking forward and never really too far behind. I think that's the best way to be. So I think isolation is one of the biggest things that help us.
So man, we was just talking about how like going through these isolations are, oftentimes a good thing because you can be able to take a lot from it. So let's take a step back and let's go back, back in your childhood. How was growing up? You're from Columbia, South Carolina. We went to high school together. We know each other, but no one ever really knows what people are going through. So take me back a little bit. Let's start back in the childhood. How was life growing up for you?
Growing up, man, I grew up, like I say, in a single parent household for the most part. I guess it's just my mom, my four siblings, and it was always kind of just us five, and then my mom. My mom liked to call us her Fab Five.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was always us in a 3 or 4 bedroom home, and just kind of always figuring out our own ways. We kind of did a lot in life and just figuring things out. You know what I'm saying? My mom was more so, you know, depending on what it is, you know, she'll kind of put us in a place where we got to go and figure it out on our own. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what she had to do a lot of times.
Yeah.
So a lot of day-to-day activities and different things, like in terms of finding things that we love, in terms of figuring out, you know, what is best for us to get through our day-to-days, we had to go figure those things out by ourselves. And in terms of, you know, my father and stuff, he definitely has been in my life, but I think, but he is military, and you know, he was deployed a lot of my years growing up. He didn't retire until I was 17 years old, and that was, you know, my last year, junior year of high school. So he retired then, and then from that point on, you know, his physical presence has been there. But prior to, I didn't really have a consistent physical presence in terms of a male figure, yeah, father figure in a sense. Just there with me every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people don't really understand the value of that. I mean, a lot of people will say that I've ended up pretty well despite all the different things that I've had going on. Yeah, but and that's just from the outside looking in, and of course you always wanted to look like that. But I definitely believe that, you know, just that physical presence of having a father figure, you know, it carries way more. You know, it speaks more volumes than what people do believe until you actually don't have it and then get to experience what it is to have it. You can't really have a say so on that. Some men that don't really learn and understand that until they have a child of their own.
Exactly.
And that can be when somebody's already, you know, 25, 30 years old or whatever. You know what I'm saying? At that point, you've already been through majority of your life and made decisions in life that's dictated how the rest of your 15 going. Yeah. So, because these are those years, man, that 20 to 25, that, you know, 18 to 25, whatever, those are the years where you're making certain decisions, and those decisions will determine where you're at when you're 40, where you're at when you're 35. And a lot of people don't really like see it and understand it until they actually going through it, but that's the uphill battle that I think, you know, us as African American men, or just in general,
specifically that
experience.
Yeah, bro, and I 100% agree, especially like coming out of COVID. Like, that's another reason I wanted to put this platform out, because there's a lot of social anxiety and there's a lot of awareness around mental health now, which is a good thing. Like, some people look at it like, oh no, now mental health is so big, everybody want to talk about it, want to think about it. It's like, yes, and especially in our community, it's something that's not talked about. It's something that needs to be talked about, because there's a lot of things, like you said, you might have not noticed back then that not having a physical presence of a father figure was going to affect you, but now that you see it and you have it, it's like, dang, okay, this might have changed a little different if he was there, or this might have, you know what I'm saying, things might have went different if you'd have had it. And a lot of people don't talk about those things. We're just like you said, your mom, me and you are kind of have similar stories. It's like, because I had a dad, he was there, he was in the military, you feel me? I was able to live out the country with him for certain occasions, but at a certain point in my life, he made decisions that he had a whole nother family, right? So he left me, and that was like my 5th grade, 6th grade year. So up until that point, and after that, I didn't have a father figure, you know? So I know how that feels, but luckily for me, I was the youngest. So I had 2 other brothers who either one made mistakes or made good decisions, and I was able to learn from. So with you said you had 4 siblings. Like, where are you at in that like hierarchy as far as like brother or sister or things like that? And then how did you think that affected you as far as not having a father figure? Because it affected you, but you also have younger siblings. How do you think that affected them, or how do you think you had to step up? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did that feel?
So, in terms of ages wise, I'm the middle child of the 5 siblings. So my oldest brother, you know, he would have been 34 this past year, and this past September. Then I got an older sister. She's 4 years older than me, with 3 years and some change, whatever you want to say. But yeah, and then I got 2 younger brothers that's right behind me, a year each. So in terms of just how, you know, being in that type household, the effect that it took on all of us, it was more so of like for me, I had to kind of look at, I'm the one that kind of like just always looking at the bigger picture in a sense. So I just kind of looked at all our situations and kind of noticed what I was good at compared to what my siblings and stuff are good at, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, what the family needs, and kind of like what my mom can withstand, you know, as a black woman in this world. And you know, with my mom, like growing up in that household, like she could only do what she could. You know, my mom wasn't a graduate of college. She didn't go to any college or university. She started working straight out of high school. She had her first child when she was 18. So, and that, you know, that's my oldest brother. But once she had him, she had to just go straight into the workforce. So of course we know what that life is like from that point on. That's just all she having time to do. But yeah, she's continued to live, had other kids, and ended up with 5 total. So in that, like my oldest brother, he made a lot of mistakes in himself, and he did different things, and I learned a lot from him through that. But he also did a lot of things right as well. Also taught me a lot of lessons as well. Same for my sister as well. Of course, I can't learn too much from her. She's a woman. But at the end of the day, a lesson is a lesson, and we all go through life, you know what I'm saying, the same way. And when it comes to money and just finances and everything else, and just how to go about dealing with people, interacting with people, just a lot of those different things we all learn in our own little ways. But it's all the same lesson in a sense. So I learned a lot of lessons from her as well, and then I had to do a lot of like polishing what I've learned to be sure that my younger brothers could see it in a certain way coming from me, because of course we back to back. So like,
so once the older
everything, everything with us three, a lot of times we like beside each other. I mean, you talking about back when we was young, like Halloween, we wearing the same stuff, just different colors type. You know, all us Power Rangers, but you know, we got 2 red ones and then the blue one, and you know, just different stuff like that. So it's like everything we was doing was always together. So it's gonna be like that in life too. You know what I'm saying? When things start getting real, it's a lot of things that I was going through and that I'm still going through to this day. That I started realizing that, you know, we kind of pick up on, you know, with each other. I guess my role kind of turned, and then as time continued to go, I kind of started growing into like that person for the family in a sense. Like,
you feel like you had to step up a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of turned into more of that, not necessarily a father figure, because I'm not gonna act like, you know, I'm the dad of my siblings, but you know, my mom, while being a single parent in the household, it's 4 different it's 4 different baby fathers in that situation. So she had 2 with my 2 younger. They came from the same pops. But other than that, it's 4 different guys. So like, you know, all us coming from different ways, and you know, what my mom didn't have, everybody wasn't giving her this, that, and the third to get us through. You know what I'm saying? She was figuring out whatever she had, so I kind of had to. I would do small things, going to go get a haircut, you know, and paying for it by myself. You know, just little stuff. So I started working at 16. And then from then on, I've been, you know, working part-time jobs or whatever while going to school and stuff like that, to kind of see my way, just to be able to do little things that I wanted to do for myself.
Because you know, she tried her best. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna always love our mothers. I don't care what our mothers do. We gonna love them to death. Like I said, I'm from a single family home. My mama called me all the time, apologizing for things she may have did in the past. I tell her stop. You know what I'm saying? I tell her stop. Don't apologize. You did what you could. You know what I'm saying? For what was given to you. And what I'm gonna do, you raised me good enough, right? She raised you good enough to notice what you can't do.
Right.
Everybody can't do everything. At the end of the day, everybody can't do everything. You raised me good enough to let, you know what I'm saying, that I'll realize what you can't do. And I'm gonna be here to be able to make sure I can do that. And that's what you did. You understood what you couldn't do, and you was like, all right, I'm not gonna let it happen. I'm gonna just figure it out, and we're gonna get it done. And I'm sure you did a lot for your brothers as well. You did a lot for a lot of people just because you felt like you had to, and you saw that your mama might have not been able to do things in certain situations. so we wanted to make sure we got it done. So I know we talked about, you being 16, you having to work so early. But with that, you still had to go, to childhood stuff. So like, what was high school like for you? And even when you was working and stuff, like, how was high school?
Man, high school was a time, man, that sometimes I look back, and that's kind of like, really, those was my, like, not necessarily glory years, but I mean, I felt the most free in high school than I did at any other point in time in my life. Not even in college. Like in college, I still kind of, because I mean, in college, I'm still figuring out a lot of that stuff on my own. I'm doing my own FAFSA stuff. I'm doing everything, all that stuff by myself. So it wasn't really a matter of being free in a sense then. And while I did work part-time, like in high school, it wasn't, I mean, it was a weekend type
It
deal,
wasn't
you know
a
what I'm
burden.
saying?
It wasn't
So you
something
feel me?
you had.
So it was like, hey, man, I got to go to work this weekend just to make a little couple $100 real
For
quick.
you, really?
And yeah, you know what I'm saying? That was it. It wasn't really nothing extra to it. So with high school, man, it was really just playing football, man. Playing football. Had a little short stint playing basketball. We ain't got to necessarily go too deep into that, but I think we all tried to do a little bit of everything, you know what I'm saying? So I still had good times with that. Track, did a little running track and stuff like that, and and I think in those times, man, we had some damn good coaches. You feel me? And especially in those latter years, with my last 2 years, like 11th, 12th grade, that's when I started really getting coaches that
cared about you.
Actually, look like, not saying that coaches prior to didn't, you know what I'm saying, but I think our relationships grew even more when we became the players on the team, and then the coaches had to it was kind of us figuring out things when it came to games. We was doing that kind of together in a sense, and it was just a lot of fun times in that time. Just playing football and stuff like that, from where we went my junior year and where things were to my senior year, and the growth in terms of the team, and just how we were in terms of a brotherhood. I mean, all those same guys, we all still cool, still talk to each other to this day. So that would speak volumes in terms of just the relationships that were being brewed and put together like in that time. You know what I'm saying? So I think those years was probably
like incredible ones.
Yeah, you feel me? Like them was the time then.
I know I can speak for myself. I transferred into Keenan, so I didn't go there my freshman year. I grew up on that side of town, and then I moved to Dutch Fort Irma. And I just remember coming back my sophomore year, and at first, I had nobody. I used to read books, by myself in the cafeteria, nobody. And then Newton. Coach Newton, he came up, you can catch? Yeah, I can catch. All right, come play football. I said, oh, Lord, all right. You know what I'm saying? And I came out there, man, but I was just a lost kid, man. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know much, but from the day I joined that team, bro, it was something special. Everybody cared for everybody. And from that day, it was and like you said, when I came and I started, that's when we got Coach McCullough. And I know I can speak for myself, the incredible things he did in my life, you know what I'm saying? Even after high school, it kind of stopped a little bit, but, we grow up, right?
Yeah.
But the lessons he's taught me while on that team, and like you said, the brotherhood I built with most of the people on that team, and just the stuff we would do together after practice, outside of football and things like that, really helped me. And to this day, even though we might not necessarily speak and they may not physically help me at this moment, the things we talked about, the things we did, definitely helped me throughout even my own isolation. So how can you speak towards that as far as what that family did for you and what those coaches did for you, especially like you said, not necessarily having a physical presence of a man in your life, having a coach or something like that, or even just teammates, brothers that's going through the same wars as you.
Yeah. I guess during that time, man, and I couldn't necessarily see it like the way I see it now. But of course, going through those years, nothing had really a lot of life stuff hadn't quite yet happened yet, you know what I'm saying? So I never really understood some of the things that they taught me until, even more recently, when different things had started happening and just, becoming a man and having to do different things and figure out different things amongst myself or, with my family and stuff like that. So, that brotherhood and that family that I grew over at Keenan, man, they probably, like, they gave me something to look forward to. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And I think that's what a lot of people sometimes don't even have, really. You know what I'm saying? It's like something to wake up and look forward to. I used to, run around being late to everything, late to class, late to school. But one thing I always look forward to was going to practice.
Yeah.
Going to talk with the players, with the coaches, with the teammates, lifting weights, joking, laughing. You can be the way that team was, man. You could be the weakest link in there, and you won't even notice just because of how well we work with each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's just being honest. It sounds a little blunt, but that's just the truth. Like, not everybody is gonna be the best player. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody gonna be the top dog of the team. It's got to be somebody that's at the bottom of the of the whole thing. So, even being that person, I don't think different people would even be able to notice that you were that person.
Yeah.
Just because of how well, we all loved each other and were there for each other, and no matter what it was, we didn't notice that we was being there for each other in the ways in which we was until we all started going through. Yeah, it's over with, and we started going through life and realizing, okay, these are the people that that's gonna help me through X, Y, and Z. We went through and found a way to win this game together. Like, maybe we'll figure out a way to win this life experience together. You know what I'm saying? So, it's that kind of what that team did for me and what those coaches did for me. It was a lot of just persevering and helping. I think the biggest thing coaches really do is help a player or help a man or a young man or a young woman even just believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And believe that they're capable of doing more than what their mind is set to do. You know what I'm saying?
That's
especially
what
like
coaches
track.
should do.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's at least what they should do. Yeah, you're right. And that's what I think all the coaches that we had
did. Yeah.
And they did that. Even in the track, with Coach Proctor. He the shortest dude out there. But
the giant.
He knew. He anything he told us or whatever, it worked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? His methods in terms of teaching us how to run, like all that stuff will work. And it's spoken, volumes in terms of some of the players that he's had that have went on and done more at bigger schools. Some of the D1 players he's had, some of the or runners, not necessarily players, but some of the D1 runners he's had. Just in terms of how much faster people have gotten through the times, 40 times, everything, just in general. We had it was a small stint because really shortly after, if I'm not mistaken.
That speaks even more value to him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's like, exactly. So for us to be that close, and for him, like, he's a little short guy. I gotta get him on here, man. Little short guy, man, but he's a giant with how he speaks and how he teaches us. And like you said, bro, like, it's things that we've learned. Because, hell, I was one of the weakest links the first 2 years, you feel me? But like you said, you would never know because, like, I was treated like I was the greatest, you know what I'm saying? We was all so tight. And like you said, I think one of the biggest words you said in that story was just, like, perseverance. Like, we was a small, underfunded school. You know what I'm saying? It ain't get much, you know what I'm saying? Coaches changing so much, you know what I'm saying? We changing coaches every year. I think you had, like, three coaches.
State the next year, he gone.
You gone, exactly. So it's like, man, it's almost like they don't care for us to win or to succeed, and not necessarily just in sports, but in life. And like you said, but I do think you can speak to it more. But I think one of the greatest hires at Keenan was Quinn McCullum.
Right.
And I think he was the glue to us bonding so tight because he was a hands-off coach. He wasn't so much X's and O's. He was there to definitely, like you said, build us up as men. Which I think coaches should do. Most of them don't. I mean, some of them don't. But
at the head coach position.
Exactly. At the head coach, like, I think that should be a job. And I think he definitely did a great job as far as, like I said, being the glue to bring us even closer. Because we used to have fights out there with each other. Like, I'll bump you, fuck you, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? And he'll always like, hold on, slow it down, think about it. What's really going on, you know what I'm saying? And then chop it up, finish it up. We good after that. And like you said, perseverance, and you didn't really notice it back then. And because you didn't have these issues until later on. And we'll get into that in a couple minutes about the issues that you did go. But going through some of those things, were some of the things in high school that you were taught, did that help you through going through those things?
Yeah, like some of the things, that the coaches was teaching and just different things in life, just understanding that no matter what has happened. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the biggest things I think. Like when we was in school, man, and playing high school sports, like we had to really. You got to have sometimes in playing sports in general, you got to have a quick mind in terms of just accepting things. You know what I'm saying?
Memory.
Yeah, you got to have a very short term memory, like, and you got to be able to just say, hey, you know, that happened. It's cool. The next play, what's up? What you about to do now? You feel me? Because it could only take one play. You know what I'm saying? We lost homecoming because of one play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we
What happened? I don't even remember.
That was that slant that you remember Shay that went to Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
And he
It
threw
was
a slant.
Newberry?
He threw a slant. Yeah, Newberry. Yeah, he threw that slant at the end of the game. That was the play that won him the game.
That's when Ken had like 5 touchdowns in it.
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
was that
I don't, oh yeah, he talking about. But that was the year Ken went crazy that year.
Yeah.
Well, everybody went crazy that year, but the year before Ken went, he went for what? I don't know how many interceptions he had, like 12 or something like that. But yeah, that year, man, yeah, it was a slant, miss coverage, man. You know, the corner had outside leverage or something like that.
I think I know who it was too now. I ain't gonna say the name.
Right. He threw a slant. My man took it all the way to the house on us, and that was how they won at homecoming. But that was even one of our better games there. You know what I'm saying? Which everything happened for a reason, because you know. Losing that game put us into a certain bracket, and we ended up all the way at state once we got in that bracket. So, and I think they ended up losing to Fairfield, if I'm not mistaken, or they beat Fairfield. I think they made it to state too, and played
Marlboro County.
No, they played.
Oh no, Dillon.
Dillon, yeah.
No, yeah, they did. Yeah, Newberry did play Dillon.
Yeah, they made it to state in the other
Helped
bracket.
us, yeah, for sure.
Because that was that tough bracket over there. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know how we was gonna figure it out through that, but. Hey, everything. God works in mysterious ways, and He always has. And even in that, you know, you don't even see that He working. But that's us playing sports, just playing football as kids. You feel me? But we come out, and now when we look at it now, we like, yeah, that probably was God making sure we lost that game.
Yeah, I'm glad He did too.
Yeah.
We made history. The first time in Keenan history.
Yeah, that we ever made the state championship.
Made it past second round.
Yeah, I'm about to say
Let alone state championship. Made it past second round. Then went on that year to win the basketball championship. That was even more crazy. But we spoke about just a minute ago, like how some of the things you learned on those teams and on those things you were able to use later in life to help you get out of certain isolations. Let's speak about what those isolations were. Let's talk about what put you in some of those dark moments in your life that you had to use these tools.
So I guess one of the first things was in high school, you know, growing up, it was always like, you know, we got our little lab stuff, and it was always 5 of us, you know, going through everything and doing everything together. The other 4 of us played football. You know, Evan, he played basketball, but we kind of was just
together.
We always was together, did everything together. If you look at pictures, we had lunch together. We doing everything together, and like I said earlier, to this day, we still all talk to each other. But back in 2019, March of 2019, Evan went to USC Upstate, and Evan was shot and killed. Like not a lot of people know to this point, but he was shot and killed back in 2019, right before we got ready to graduate. Yeah. So that was probably that first, you know, thing in life, like where I was hit hard by something. I mean, other things have played a role, you know, but you know.
That was just a big moment. Like that was like one of the first.
The loss of somebody so close to you. Like you hear other people talking about loss all the time and talk about things that they've gone through and how bad it's hurt them, but you never really truly understand
until you
experience it yourself. So when we lost Evan, we were all so shocked, didn't really know what to do. But kind of like the way in which things kind of played out with that and how I grew to start realizing and seeing how things were being handled. You know, and we all our moms are our own. Like we all look at each other moms like they are our moms, like our second, fourth, fifth, whatever mom. So you know, with Mom and Erica, you know, we were seeing how things was going through with her, but like just seeing them go through that, and we didn't have to play as large of a role in terms of helping with that situation with losing Evan, but I guess losing him and just being able to know how to kind of help, as much as we possibly could. That kind of helped. That was like a big thing. I can't really, because the way everything happened with me, bro, like, it wasn't just the loss of Evan. It was like, the way my whole thing went. I lost 4 different people that was close to me within a 3-year span. So like in that 3 years, I lose Evan, who was a brother in a sense. I'm talking about since 4th grade. Me and Evan been cool. We was close. All the way up until that point. And then after Evan, I lose my LB, who I spent, a decent bit of my college time with. And, me and him spent a lot of time together, and we was always together, always with each other. We always was doing things together. And I go, from something God spoke to me that day as well, like, 'cause he told me to invite him to, I did a Labor Day event or whatever at my venue, and invited him, talked to him. Something told me, like, to make sure I speak and dap him up, make sure before he leave, and legit 15, 20 minutes from there, he get in an accident that, that killed him. And then, 2 months after that, an accident happens with Cato, who also played with us, of course. We was all on that team, but we get in an accident with Cato and lose him too. And then most recently, which is the one I think has taught me the most, that all those lessons has taught me the most, is the loss of my brother, my oldest brother, and losing him this past, 2 days before Christmas in 2021, when he was killed that day. It kind of helped. I think things kind of came, full circle for me. Like, that's when, like, a trigger kind of flipped in my life, and I started looking at things a little bit differently and approaching life in a different way. Kind of determined to no matter what it is, no matter what happens, like, just figure out a way to get it done, similar to the way in which we thought when we were kids back in school, in high school that year. Like, no matter what it was we had to do, when it came to us to winning the game, we had to figure out a way to win the game. We'd never even been to Chesney, you know what I'm saying? We never even, Central, we didn't know what was about to happen.
It was about 10 degrees outside.
Yeah, we was as cold as ever, never had to play in that tight weather, because we not used to playing in that, at that time of the year, you know what I'm saying? So we weren't used to still playing football. By then, we used to the season already being over. It's time for what Keenan was known as, basketball. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we wasn't used to playing, so just dealing with that, and kind of being in an environment that we're not accustomed to, but us being able to figure out a way, and this piggies back off of Coach McCullum more so than anything, figure out a way to still just figure out a way to get the job done. It don't matter what it is that's in front of us, you figure out a way to get it done, and I think I use that even more. And that's kind of what has pushed me to be isolated in a sense, is to just figure out a way to get things done for my family despite of what it is that I'm going through or what we got going on. When I lost Evan, I had my mom, I had my sister. You know what I'm saying? When I lost Avery, I had my mom, I had my sister. Those probably are the 2 closest people to me, but when I lost Cato, I had my mom, I had my sister. You know what I'm saying? It didn't affect them as much. Evan did, because they knew Evan a lot better. He stayed at the house growing up and everything, but losing my oldest brother, that's my mama losing her first son. That's my sister losing her first best friend. You know what I'm saying? I can't necessarily go to them the same way in which I went to them with Evan, and things like that. So with this loss, I'm learning and figuring out a way to get these things done without necessarily having those that's closest to me, that I'm accustomed to using, that I'm accustomed to leaning on. And I think when we went through a lot of that stuff in college, in high school, I learned a little bit about just like you said, persevering through it. And even when I got through college, like becoming a part of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, when I joined the fraternity, like, that taught me even more to how to persevere through things, how to get through things. And I got a little small issue with doing things by myself, a little too much. That's why, when we talk about this isolation thing, it's like
sometimes you still
it's a blessing and a curse in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of get one track mind, and I just figure out a way I'm gonna get it done. I don't care if it's just me and it's just me.
Yeah.
If I carry something that's too damn heavy for me, and I know I can't carry it by myself, I'm gonna try to figure out a way. I find myself sometimes, bro, going to try to take a whole damn couch, carry it in my crib. You know what I'm saying? Rather than calling and asking for help. You know what I'm saying? So it's at points like that where you realize, like, okay, being this isolated,
like this
ain't healthy for you. You know what I'm saying? But those times when stuff like that happens, like those losses start happening for you, like that's the time where you probably gonna become the most isolated. And I think in that time is a matter of figuring out a way to keep stepping, you know, keep going. Like that's the time where that's when I guess to just bring this whole thing full circle, like that's when I became the most isolated.
Yeah.
Like the loss of I was gradually becoming isolated. Like as I continued to lose people, I would isolate myself a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? When I lost Evan, I isolated a little bit, but I wasn't too isolated. I still was.
You still had your community, you still had your friends. Because it was a group of y'all, you know what I'm saying? And then all y'all lost as one brother together.
Right.
So, you know, you still had somebody to lean on. You was, you know what I'm saying? You was using the community around you.
Right. So then after that, you know, losing my LB, similar situation.
You got your
whole fraternity brothers.
Everybody coming together.
Everybody taking that same loss together. Then we lost Kato, and where, you know, we was tight knit, but I wasn't as tight knit with Kato as I was with Evan or Avery. And then when I lost my oldest brother, that's when it all it truly hit home in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Because my mom is my everything, you know what I'm saying? Like she's my why for every single thing that I do, you know what I'm saying? Just not wanting to see her have to struggle anymore, or have to figure out this or figure out that, like making things to where the answer is already right there for her type deal. When it comes to money, when it comes to anything, like in life in general, like I don't want her stressing about much of that, because that's the least I can do. She did every single thing she's ever did for me, and yet I've still figured out ways to try to just help her to you know, live life a little bit easier. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and becoming isolated and stuff with all of those things, like it's definitely been a little tough
And which it is the isolate, like you said, the isolation, you don't necessarily notice you going through it until you're done. Like you said, when you was going, you know, you lost Evan, you lost your LB, then you lost Kato, and it's like you feel it coming. It's like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how much longer, and then you lose your brother, and then it kind of, like you said, it hits home right then and there. And it's like that's when the time is like you feel like you just gotta go and be by yourself at that time. You know, because you can't necessarily go with your mom and your sister right now because they lost that too. So you feel like this is when you really get into that in that moment. As far as like where you are today, is how do you feel like, you know, just kind of wrap it up and give the viewers some tools, like I said, because the reason I created this platform is to be able to give people tools to put in their toolbox. I like to use that saying because like you can use one tool for 100 jobs, and you could do, and then you can also use 100 tools for one job.
Right.
So it's like, but no one knows. They just got to figure that out and find what tool works best for them.
Yeah.
So like, what do you feel would be some of the tools that like help?
I think some of the tools that I've used, well, for one, I wouldn't necessarily even say that I'm fully out of isolation in a sense, because I still have my days. I still, you know, have a lot of moments in which I don't really want to be bothered much. I just want to work. I just want to do this. I'm going through a little stint right now, and all I do is work for real. You know what I'm saying? But I think one of the biggest tools that I use and that has helped me most is that mentality of having like a short-term memory in a sense. Not saying that I forget anything.
Yeah. You just don't let it affect you for a longer period of times than it should.
Yeah, but I take it in, and I think acceptance is the biggest thing that a lot of people struggle to do. You know what I'm saying? Once you accept something for what it is, it's easier to walk a little bit. It's easier to pick your chin up and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you don't accept it, you become stuck. You know what I'm saying? All those ifs, all those questions, and all those, you know, those unanswered questions that you'll probably never get a true answer to. it sticks in your mind because you haven't yet accepted whatever, you know, God has already intended to happen and already, you know, set to happen. Like it already has happened and it's out of your control. You know what I'm saying? So like accepting things is the first tool that I think if you know how to accept anything that happens in your life, good or bad.
Yeah.
Because even accepting something good or not accepting something good, you know, sometimes that can play a toll on you. Because I mean, you can not accept, like it can be something good that happened in your life and you get stuck on that.
Yeah.
And then you're not even thinking about, okay, something else gotta happen. You feel me? Like it may end up being something bad, and you're not ready for it because you just so happy and you know what I'm saying? Like you just so glad. Yeah, celebrate your wins, definitely. But don't forget that you're not incapable of losing.
Yeah, and life keeps going after that win.
You know, life is gonna keep going. Like, you know, so definitely accept. Learn how to accept wins or losses.
Like
It don't matter how good you are to people. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter, you know, how well you've been. You know, we all
Ups and
something
downs.
bad can happen to anybody.
And like you said, I think, you know, that's one of the first times on you know, on the show at least, acceptance has been brought up, because I think that's before you can do anything, like before you can reach out to a community or before you can, like you said, just do anything, you have to accept what had happened. Because a lot of times, like you said, like if you don't accept certain things, or like if with a loss, like if you keep saying in your head, if I was here, if I would have kept my friend at the restaurant longer, if I was there with Evo, if I was there with my brother, if I was, you know what I'm saying, like if you can keep saying these things, and that it's gonna always antagonize you. It's gonna always be on you. You're gonna beat yourself up for one. You know what I'm saying? You're just, you know, beating yourself up about it. But once you accept for what it is, good or bad, like you said, because those are bad things, but you also have a lot of good things happen in your life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But once you accept those things, that's when you'll be able to move forward. Not necessarily move on and forget them. Like you said, you don't have to forget anyone, but you have to have short-term memory as far as letting it affect you for so long.
Yeah, and I think that, because that, you know, just to kind of wrap up on the acceptance thing, that is probably what I watch or listen to myself, like, harp on more than anything, like not accepting things at first. You know what I'm saying? When I first went through everything I went through with Evan, you know what I'm saying? It was always a thought of, you know, what if we did this? You know, Evan, when we was younger, his mom was trying to push him to come to, you know, USC and stay with me instead. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm thinking about, okay, if he did that, like how different things could have been. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we both had our different interests and stuff like that, but we were brothers. You know what I'm saying? So he was up there by himself. You feel me? None of us was up there. At Upstate with him. So if any of us was there, you know, I'm always thinking about that. Then I lose my LB, and with me being that last person that seen him, you know, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe me hugging him just a little bit longer, that drunk driver wouldn't have hit him in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like just different things like that. Like I'm thinking all the time, and that was what continuously was living with me. And I kept going with that same thought day by day. And then after you know, when I lose my brother, like it hit me in the same exact way. You know what I'm saying? I'm at work when I get the phone call, and you know, initially when we first got the phone call, he hadn't passed yet. You know what I'm saying? So like everything we rushing, we trying to get to the hospital, trying to, you know, make sure we good. We being told one thing and it ain't that. You know what I'm saying? So like when we get there, when everybody get there, we hoping, we praying. You know what I'm saying? But in that time, what I began to realize is like I'm not
In control.
I'm not the one, you know, I can't control what's gonna happen. And as much as I probably needed somebody, my mom needed me more. You know what I'm saying? My sister needed me more. My younger brothers needed me more. They hadn't dealt with nothing as big, you know what I'm saying? So like I had to figure out a way to, you know, like that quick, like I had to figure out a way to just snap and just accept what it is. Like, and it may sound crazy to some people, but I had to figure out a way. I feel like I had to figure out a way to accept my loss for my brother,
which is something hard
as
to
soon
do
as
for
it
sure.
happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just look at it like, okay, I gotta handle business now. You know what I'm saying? We gotta bury my brother. We gotta
control what you can control.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta figure out, you know, these arrangements. We gotta figure out people coming by the house. We gotta make sure that, you know, my mama is okay at the end of the day.
Before any of it.
So, like, that's where acceptance became so huge in my life. And I realized, like, in order for me to get anywhere, I'm gonna have to accept things for what they are first, and then after I accept that, you know, I go on and I be the person that I am, that I know to be, and you know, I should be fine. You know what I'm saying? So.
And that's what you did, man. Like you said, the person you is, bro, is somebody I look up to. You know what I'm saying? Speak. Like, we don't speak much, but I remember, I can remember back, like, my sophomore, junior year, like, I seen when you was graduating college.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all the great things you have done. You know what I'm saying? And that's something you accept as well. Like you said, you own the whole event center.
Yeah.
Like, that's something I always can look up to. And, like I said, going back to the high school days, you know what I'm saying? With football, as far as that, I looked up to y'all as there. And then the fact that I'm able to continue to do that, you know what I'm saying, look up to all you guys, just in what you guys doing in your walks of life, man. So with that being said, bro, I just want to, like I said, thank you again, appreciating you, you know, just give me some of your time, you know. Like I said, I knew you growing up, but I didn't know about your life. I didn't know everything that was going on, and I just appreciate you opening it up to me and then all the viewers out there who gonna be able to see this, man. With that, bro, like I said, bro, you own your own event center, everything. Go ahead, any social media you want to add, any email, websites, anything like that you want to add, so like the viewers will be able to listen and reach out to you if they want, or you know.
But like I say, I own an event center. The Landing Event Center is the name of it. Over in Casey, South Carolina. Our website is Landing EC, like airport landing, and then the letter E and C.com. You can see any and everything pertaining to our website. Pertaining to our building on there. It is under some construction and stuff right now. So we're getting a lot of our weekly events and stuff we do now. We're getting that stuff put on there, but yeah, landinec.com, that's the venue. You know, social media wise, I'm not really big on my own personal social media, so I don't really care to say that, but you can follow us on the Landing event. That's the Landing Instagram. Follow my mom's catering business, East Sweets Cater.
Yes, sir.
Cupcakes, cakes, whatever, you know, she is like that with all that, you know what I'm saying? So
I can attest to that.
Yeah, so that's what my mom does, that's what she loves to do, and that's what keeps her going, so support my mom in any way, form, or fashion if you can. And then, yeah, those are the two biggest things, Facebook, the Landing Event Center, Facebook, Evelyn Sweet Treats and Catering. But yeah, follow us, share, like, tag, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate everything, man. Appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir.